Oh, did you? Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like $90 or something American? Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Is everybody dialed back in? Is everybody dialed back in? Glenn, are you there?
I'm here.
Amber, are you there?
Yes. Good morning, Tom.
Perfect. I guess we're getting pretty close to,
This call is being recorded.
One more minute.
okay. Anybody that's listening in, can you mute your phone? Because this will be going on, right? Just, there's going to be there's a little bit of noise on the line here, so 1 minute. No, step back up again, though.
Take it in order whenever you'd like.
Okay, so we're ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Okay, I'm going to call this Municipal Planning Commission meeting to order. The Municipal Planning Commission is conducting this in person and via conference call in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, Section 199. At this time, according to Alberta Health, public attendance at Municipal Planning Commission meetings should be facilitated through virtual means. As per Wheatland County Policy 7.13, members of the public are not permitted to speak unless the Commission agrees to hear from them. If the Commission agrees to allow the public to speak, the Chair will call upon specific individuals at that time. Please note this call is being recorded and will be uploaded to our website and our social media. To eliminate background noise, please mute your phone during the meeting. Everyone has a right to be present at a Municipal Planning Commission meeting. Any attendees that are considered disruptive to the progression of this meeting may be removed at the discretion of the chair as per Municipal Act Section 198. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding. At this time, I will take a roll call vote. Member Eichert is here. Member Armstrong. Member Baker.
Here.
Member Clausen.
I'm here.
Member Kester.
Here.
Member Link.
Good morning.
And Member Wilson.
Present.
Additionally, voting procedure will be modified. Any motions with expressed opposition, I will call a roll call vote. If you're listening on the line, I would ask you to mute your phone. And we have adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions?
I'll move the adoption as presented.
Thank you, Member Armstrong. We have a copy of the minutes from the unapproved minutes from March 9th. Are there any changes? If there are no changes, or
I'll move the minutes as presented.
Member Wilson has moved the minutes. Any opposition? Hearing none. They are moved. We go on to subdivision applications. We are on 2.1 subdivision 2021-002. Thank you.
Good morning, MPC members. Graham Allison, Planner 1 here, presenting subdivision application 2021-002 to adjust the boundary between two parcels described as Southwest 192319 west of the 4th and AL 182319 west of the 4th. Subject parcels are located adjacent to Highway 56, approximately 9 kilometers south of Hussar. Staff have circulated this application to external agencies, as well as to internal departments and to adjacent landowners within a 1-mile radius of the subject lands, and no objections have been received. Tentative plan, located on page 13 of your agenda. The applicant is proposing a boundary adjustment between Southwest 192319 west of the 4th, which contains 26.42 acres, and AL 182319 west of the 4th, which currently contains 310.8 acres. The result of the boundary adjustment would have both parcels containing 168.61 acres. Both the proposed and remainder parcels contain cultivated land, which will remain cultivated land with no servicing and no servicing proposed. Parcels can both be accessed via existing approaches off of Highway 56. The proposed generally aligns with the strategies, objectives, and policies within the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan, the Regional Growth Management Strategy, the Municipal Development Plan, and the Land Use Bylaw. As per the Municipal Government Act, municipal reserve will not be required on the subdivision because the boundary adjustment will result in two parcels that both contain more than 16 hectares. Administration is recommending that Municipal Planning Commission approve subdivision application SD 2021-002, subject to the conditions noted in the planning report. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commission's wishes?
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
That is my name.
Is there discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none? That is passed. We'll move to subdivision 2021-003.
Morning again. Graham Allison, Planner 1, again presenting subdivision application SD 2021-003 to subdivide one 4-acre parcel from southeast 21, 24, 26 west of the 4th meridian. Referring to page 20 of your agenda, the subject parcel is located adjacent to Range Road 263, approximately 5 kilometers north of Cheadle.
We're already on it.
Excuse me, if you're listening in, can you please mute your phone? We're having some feedback issues. Thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
Staff have circulated the application to external agencies and internal departments, as well as to adjacent landowners within a 1-mile radius of the subject land, and no objections have been received. Tentative plan, located on page 21 of the MPC package, shows the subject parcel is 21.15 acres and currently used for hay farming. It contains a private dwelling that is serviced by a private well and a private septic disposal system, as well as a barn and farm buildings. The subject parcel was redesignated to Country Residential District on October 6, 2020 to facilitate the subdivision application. The proposed parcel is currently undeveloped, but there are plans for a private dwelling serviced by a private well and private septic disposal system. The proposed parcel and remainder parcel can both be accessed via existing approaches off of Range Road 263. The proposed parcel generally aligns with the strategies, objectives, and policies within the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan, the Regional Growth Management Strategy, the Municipal Development Plan, as well as the Land Use Bylaw. As per the Municipal Government Act, the municipal reserve will be required on the subdivision. An appraisal prepared by Ivan Wellischek determined that the per acre value of this parcel is $12,500 on a proposed parcel totaling 4 acres. The exact amount will be determined based on the final plan of survey. Please note that the number noted on the conditions on page 16 of the planning agenda is incorrect, and staff have prepared a revised set of conditions, which are on screen now. Administration is recommending that Municipal Planning Commission approve the subdivision application SD 2021-003, subject to the revised conditions. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Commission's wishes.
Recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Armstrong. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Anyone opposed? Hearing no opposition, that is passed. We will move on to development permit applications. DP 2021-043. Good morning, Suzanne.
Righty. So our first application, I'm Suzanne Hayes, the Development Officer with Wheatland County, and our first application is DP 2021-043. It's for home-based business type 3. If we go to the location plan, which is on page 29 of the application package, we can see that it is 4.5 or 7.2 kilometers east of Nightingale, further east of Highway 21. Circulation was performed to landowners within 1 mile, as you can see from Appendix B on the same page, the circulation map. There were no concerns submitted at the time of this report, and none since either. Agency circulation was not performed. Internal staff did not have any concerns. So if we go to page 30, we can see a few aerial photos of the parcel. It's a 56-acre parcel. The proposal is for providing custom specialty lumber. All activities and storage will be inside the existing Quonset. And the applicant has stated that if the operations expand, the owner may move to another parcel which is more suitable for the development. So Appendix D on page 31, we can see the site plan showing where the existing Quonset is and where the existing shop is, where the business will be taking place. So a policy evaluation, this is accessed off of Range Road 254. The business will share the existing access. Here you see it on the south side there. Here, yeah. And then, so the policy evaluation, the home-based business meets the criteria of the MDP and the LUB for home-based business type 3. Business activities will not occur outside of the dedicated Quonset, and there were no circulation responses from adjacent landowners. In conclusion, on agenda package page 24 and 25, staff are recommending approval of the HBB 3 for a 2-year term subject to the conditions noted. And on page 27, you will see the 3 response options that MPC may consider. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Suzanne. Commission's wishes.
I'll move that Municipal Planning Commission approve DP 2021-043 for home-based business type 3, subjected to the listed conditions.
Thank you, Member Kester. Discussions? Seeing none. Any opposition? I call to vote. Any opposition? Hearing none. Deemed it passed. We will now move on to DP 2021-042.
Suzanne Hayes here again. This application is for a dwelling accessory. If we go to the location plan, which is on page 38 of the agenda package, you can see the location is 6.4 kilometers northwest of Strathmore on Range Road 253. It's west of Highway 817. On the same page, we can see the circulation map. It was circulated to landowners within 1 mile. No concerns were submitted. Agency circulation was not performed, and internal staff had no concerns. On page 39, we can see the site plan, and page 40, we can see the aerial photos. It's an 80.1 acre parcel. The primary dwelling is 3,866 square feet, and this will be the third residence on the parcel. It's a 1,216 square foot manufactured dwelling. No variances had been requested. A dwelling accessory is allowed on parcels. Every parcel is allowed to apply for a dwelling accessory, whether or not they have two residences currently on the parcel. So this application meets the requirements of the land use bylaw. And so the policy evaluation, the proposed dwelling will be painted with a new roof, and a new roof will be installed to match the primary residence. The application is a discretionary use in the AG district, and it meets the MDP objectives. It's an 80-acre parcel, which allows adequate room for 3 dwellings. The proposed dwelling accessory fits with the context of the area, which is primarily agricultural and residential, and no variances had been requested. In conclusion, staff are recommending approval, if you go to page 32 of the agenda package, with the conditions, approval of the dwelling accessory, and MPC has the 3 standard options found on page 36. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Commission's wishes.
I'll make the recommendation that MPC approve DP 2021-042 for dwelling accessory subject to the conditions.
Thank you, Member Clausen. Discussions? Hearing no discussions, I'll call to vote. Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, I deemed it passed. We will move on to DP 2021-40.
Suzanne Hayes here again. The application is for a home-based business type 3 for a modular home builder. The location plan is found on page 49 of the agenda package. And it is located 2 miles east of Strathmore and 1 mile south on Range Road 244. Circulation was performed to landowners within 1 mile, and we did receive 1 response from a neighbor with concerns, and it's found on page 49. Or sorry, no, that's our map. So if you want to read the entire package, or the entire response from the neighbor, it's on page 55. But in summary, they did indicate support for a temporary permit, but identifies concerns related to dust and the condition of Range Road 244. The proposing conditions, they are proposing that conditions be added for dust control and a grading schedule. So that's on page 55 for the full response. Agency circulation was not performed. Internal staff, the GM of Transportation and Infrastructure, said there is minimal traffic proposed as they only anticipate 2 to 4 customers per week. Expansion beyond this would be outside of their DP approval and letter of intent and subject to enforcement. Dust control for this application would be overkill in comparison to other businesses with higher traffic volumes that do not have to apply dust control. Our investment attraction specialist provided a few comments stating that their unique business concept can be used to produce modular homes for government contracts, laneways, and First Nations communities. They are a CSA-approved builder with plans to potentially to create up to 30 jobs, and the business has potential, and there are existing facilities they could buy in other counties. So the aerial photos are found on page 50 and 51 of the agenda package. The applicant had approached staff in 2020 to construct a 1 prototype home to be immediately shipped off site to be used as a show home for a modular home manufacturing facility. The prototype sold quickly with an order for a second home. In order to allow the business to operate on a small scale while the applicant finds a suitable permanent location for the manufacturing facility, they have applied for a home-based business permit as a temporary solution. On page 52 is their site plan. The proposal is not a typical HBB application as the construction activities will occur outside. There are no adjacent residences on the south end of the applicant's property where the construction will occur. If we go back to the aerial photos on page 50, you can see that they are the final residence on that stretch of road. There was one circulation response from the adjacent landowner on the north side requesting dust control. The business plans to relocate as soon as a suitable location can be found. And a shorter time frame for this permit was considered. We were considering possibly a 1-year term. However, if they are required to construct a new building for the permanent location, they may need a 2-year term. So the recommendation from staff is for approval of the HBB3 for a 2-year term, and that can be found on page 43 and 44 with the conditions. And MPC has their standard 3 options found on page 47. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Commission's wishes.
Member Link here. I will move administration's recommendation recognizing the adjacent landowner's concern and just our ability to sort of monitor the traffic. It certainly looks like the traffic that's spoken of in the application would be below what we would typically, and if administration can just confirm this, but I believe from just considering other applications we've had that those indicated or anticipated traffic would be below what we would typically require any sort of dust mitigation. Acknowledging that, I would move the recommendation from administration with the conditions presented. And if admin can just confirm about the dust control.
Yes, that was my understanding from the GM of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Member Link.
Thank you so much.
Just one question for clarity. This comment in this letter that the resident sent in, number of small animals along the road, what are they talking about? Is there no fence there or something and somebody's running sheep or what?
I do not know the answer to that question.
We can certainly get back to you on that.
No, it was just an odd comment.
Okay.
Okay, no, that's all right.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, I'll call the vote. Any opposition? Hearing none, it's passed. We will now move on to 3.4, which is DP 2021-035.
Suzanne Hayes here again. This application is for a variance request to the side yard property line for 2 existing sheds. The location plan is found on page 60 of the application package. It is within the hamlet of Nameka on Nameka Drive. Circulation was performed to adjacent landowners +1, as you can see from the circulation map on the same page. We did not receive any responses at the time of this report or since. Agency circulation was not performed. Internal staff had no concerns. We go to the site plan on page 61 and aerial photos. The required setback to a side yard property line is 1.22 meters, and the smaller of the 2 sheds is 0.88 meters from the side yard property line. If not for the variance, this particular shed would not require a development permit as it is less than 100 square feet. The larger shed would, and it is 1.04 meters from the side yard property line. The parcel is adjacent to a 5.43 acre bare lot. As you can see on the aerial photos on page 61, the bare lot there. Considerations: the proposal meets the criteria listed in the LUB regarding variances, as it should not have a negative impact on surrounding landowners. The bare lot, which is adjacent to this application, is 5.43 acres, allowing ample room for future development without being impacted by the proposed variance. No concerns were raised from the circulation to surrounding landowners, and no concerns were raised from the Deputy Regional Fire Chief regarding any fire spread issues. The recommendation from staff is found on page 56, and we are recommending approval of the 2 variances subject to the proposed conditions. Page 58 presents MPC's standard 3 options to consider, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Quick question. So when I look at this and when I read through it and looked at it, why did this come to us? They're already there. What, did somebody complain about the setback, or what's the reason that we're even?
The applicant, I believe, wants to get a compliance, and so it would be non-compliant.
So he wants to get in compliance, so if we refuse this, then he's willing to move them?
Potentially.
Okay. Okay.
Commission's wishes.
Interesting.
Member Link will move that the Municipal Planning Commission approve DP 2021-035 for the 2 sheds with variances subject to the conditions as outlined in the recommendation.
Thank you, Member Link. Any more discussion?
But I'll do it later.
Okay. No more discussion. I don't hear any more discussion. I will ask a vote.
I'm curious why. I commend the landowner for wanting to become compliant, but his means of becoming compliant is just to get a relaxation of setback.
It could be for...
To me, it looks like that's a 20-minute job to move them.
Could be, but it could be for resale.
I know I know that, but I'm just thinking, for 20 minutes, you didn't have to go through that process.
Can they?
Right?
That is correct. I mean, they could move them. I think they looked into it, and I think it was going to be more of a task than what they thought. Or I can't speak for them on this regard, but I mean, this is kind of a common scenario that people apply for compliance, and we could go after them to move it, or it could just affect a future sale, and that's usually a big motivator for people. They just would not get compliance from us.
Well, if we get enough, and we, like you said, we get enough of these for relaxations, why aren't we coming back with a recommendation to change our setbacks if we're going to?
That would be council's decision.
Something we should look at, because this to me, that could be moved really fast. But if we're going to keep giving them relaxations, we may as well visit our land use bylaw and change the setbacks on these, rather than have them keep coming back to us for the relaxation that we're going to give them.
And I guess in some situations, it's different if it's near a residence, and there could be a fire spread issue. Loss of life seems to be something that is greatly considered nowadays, but so they wouldn't all get a blanket stamp of approval. If there was a dwelling on the other side that was 4 feet from the property line, potentially not.
Well, that was discussion, all right. If that's the last of the discussion, I'll call this to vote. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, it is passed. We will now move on to DP 2021-031.
Suzanne Hayes here again. This application is for a home-based business type 3 for a custom cutting meat shop. If you go to the location plan found on page 70, we can see that it is east of Highway 21 and Range Road 235, 2 miles south of Highway Wood. Circulation was performed to adjacent landowners within 1 mile, and that map is also on page 70. Agency circulation, the full comments are found on page 67 of the agenda package, but in summary, the Safe Food Specialist from Food Safety Branch of the Government of Alberta said that a mobile butcher license is issued by Agriculture and Forestry, and once this license is obtained, an applicant may apply for a mobile butcher facility license, which will enable the processing activities. The mobile butcher facility license does not directly regulate how animal waste is disposed of. However, he is required to adhere to other related legislative requirements by agreeing to the terms of the mobile butcher facility license. This includes specified risk materials overseen by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and the disposal of dead animals regulated and overseen by a different branch of the Government of Alberta. Alberta Health Services had no response. The WID had no concerns. Internal staff had a response. Full response is on page 68, but in summary, the environmental coordinator had questions regarding waste disposal method and if the slaughter would be occurring on site. Will it be screened from view? So we did answer those questions with the Safe Food Specialist. And the Deputy Regional Fire Chief said that a fire inspection will be needed to be complete on the new building. So as aerial photos are found on page 71. This business is offering custom cutting meats for mobile slaughter on the customer's property only. Wrapped meat cuts will be provided back to the customer. No meat will be sold to stores or restaurants. A new shop will be constructed to accommodate the business, which will need to meet provincial requirements for a mobile butcher facility license. Site plan on page 72. The home-based business meets the criteria of the MTP and the LUB for a home-based business type 3. No outdoor storage is required, and it will generate minimal additional traffic. There were no circulation responses from adjacent landowners. A condition has been added for a fire inspection and proof of the mobile butcher facility license prior to operating. The recommendation and conditions are found on pages 64 and 65. Staff are recommending approval of the HBB3 for a 2-year term. And the 3 standard response options on page 68 for MPC to consider. That concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have questions.
Thank you, Suzanne. Commission's wishes.
Member Link will move that the Municipal Planning Commission approves DP 2021-031 for home-based business type 3, subject to the conditions in the recommendation.
Thank you, Member Link. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Any opposition? Hearing none, it's approved. Thank you, Suzanne. We will now move on to...
Before we start, Tom, can we take a couple-minute break because this will be a long one?
Yeah, okay. We're just gonna pause this for
Bio break?
5 minutes, 4 minutes, somewhere in there. Make a real quick break here, and then we'll move on to what everybody's been waiting for. So, yep.
Mics. Call recording and transcription are turned off.
We're ready to start again. Remember Link and Kester.
This call is being recorded.
Yes,
this call is being transcribed.
Thank you. Glenn?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you. Guess we're ready to rock and roll.
Hello, it's Suzanne Hayes again, presenting application DP 2021-001 for Ag Processing Major. If we go to the location plan found on page 85 of the agenda package, we see that this property is located 8.85 kilometers north of Strathmore at the end of just off of Highway 817 and 564. Circulation map is found on page 86. And this circulation was performed to landowners within 2 miles of the application. Wheatland County received 38 letters in opposition to the proposal and 6 letters in support. Many of the letters had similar concerns, so the list that is summarized in the report is just meant to be a summary. The full letters are attached to this report, beginning on page 107. On page 83 of the report is the summary. Would MPC like me to read the summarized comments or continue on?
I think I'd like to see the summarized comments.
Okay, so if we go to page 83, items of concern included odor, to eliminate rather than mitigate. How can we guarantee it will be mitigated? How can an odor problem be fixed once it is operational? Dust concerns, impact on roads, noise concerns, traffic impact, air quality, ammonia release concerns, any benefits from the product are outweighed by the non-grain production process, quality of life, impacts to health, livelihoods, and lifestyle. Property value negatively affected. Landowners will lose any potential resale of their property. Less property taxes for the county due to lesser property values. Amount of water usage, water contamination. If water license is refused, how will emissions be controlled? Circulation radius should be larger than 2 miles. Why was there no notice in the newspapers? Newspaper notification of July 24, 2020 was when the Strathmore Times was not in print due to COVID, and that shows little respect for the landowners. Can we avoid the hassle of follow-up complaints and letter writing and phone calls? Will there be unsold product stored? Will there be soil contamination from product storage? Will they be accepting Calgary sewage at the facility in the future? Concerns about health issues. The information provided by the applicant has not been truthful. Items listed in support of the application included: there was a concern for the bad odor, however, support for a green development, fits within an agricultural community, benefits for organic products and agriculture, improvement to farming practices, provides local jobs and cash to the community. Alberta environment compliance is required. It has new owners, new technology, a good team of engineers, and will attract investment. It's in line with the county economic development goals, shows the county is growth-oriented, and ongoing data collection and monitoring requirements are part of the AEP process. We circulated to agencies, we circulated to Alberta Environment and Parks, and on page 81, we can see their response. Sorry, page 81. And what they said was, review of the proposed odor control technology will be included: air quality assessment, storage of manure and other waste streams, storage of the final product, odor management plan, and monitoring of emission sources at the facility. We circulated to the AUC, they had no responses. We circulated to the NRCB, and they said, based on the limited information so far, it is unclear whether the project would require a permit under the AOPA, Alberta Operation Practices Act, Agricultural Operation Practices Act. An AOPA permit would be required if there is manure storage facility at this project which contains or is to contain a total of 500 tons or more of manure. Alberta Health Services did not respond at the time of this report. Alberta Transportation issued a roadside development permit. Internal staff responses begin on page 81. The General Manager of Transportation and Infrastructure had no concerns with the additional 12 trucks per day on Range Road 253, but the applicant should be required to enter into an annual road use agreement with the county, which may include dust control measures be applied. The environmental coordinator provided some comparisons for water usage and said Alberta Environment is responsible for and has issued a water license. To help put the relative size of the water license in perspective, the best comparison is that the applicant will use a little under that of 2 residential households. Comparison data for other water users was provided. Would you like me to read all the comparison data, or you're good with just finding it in the report?
I'm good with it being in the report.
Okay. On odor, the environmental coordinator stated that this facility is proposed for an existing feedlot. The municipality should not be concerned about odor should the smell not be expected to exceed the level and reach a standard feedlot operations, provided that air quality standards are met as indicated in the documents, specifically for NO2. Although not an odor and air quality expert, you cannot determine if the reach and level of odor will exceed that of a standard feedlot operation. If it is to exceed that of the existing feedlot, the municipality would need to decide if we were willing to accept the risk of nuisance. The proposal offers an innovative approach to handling a common product of agricultural operations, manure, by turning it into a product that the agricultural industry can use that has possible benefits over alternative methods. It's beneficial for both agriculture and environment in that way, provided that the process is sustainable and low impact to the environment and surrounding community. If possible, we should consult with a subject matter expert on odor and air quality. The manager of Agriculture and Environment said some points to consider with this application is that raw manure from the feedlot can be 50% moisture, so drying it, there will be substantial reduction in volumes that need to be hauled to adjacent agricultural land, thereby reducing the amount of heavy truck traffic on the roads. It is also his understanding that by going through this process, the end product is considered fertilizer instead of manure, so it doesn't fall under the same strict application guidelines that raw manure would. This is something the NRCB would confirm. There is also the added benefit of weed, seed, and pathogen destruction from the heating process. The Deputy Regional Fire Chief said that the facility will require a fire inspection, and after an initial review of the emergency response plan, it appears to be sufficient. However, once they're operational, he would have a few questions that would be more of an operational nature, and if needed, could be added to the ERP at that time. We also circulated to Larry Soshin, who's a PEng with Senior Process Engineer with McElhaney Engineering, and his comments are integrated into the body of the report, which I will review shortly. There was a stakeholder engagement conducted in 2020, and the stakeholder engagement process is found on page 99 of the agenda package. From September 11th, 2019 to March 2021, the applicant conducted stakeholder engagement. August to December 2020, Wheatland County received 25 letters in opposition to the proposal. On October 6, 2020, a petition was submitted to Wheatland County with 176 names against the proposal, citing concerns related to burning of fossil fuels, water usage, lack of smell containment. So if we go to aerial photos found on page 87 of the agenda package. Some background. A permit issued to a previous owner in 2006 for a manure processing facility. It went into receivership and ceased operating after a few years. The company, equipment, and patents were purchased by an unrelated owner, and after a feasibility study, it was determined that the business could be viable after a facility redesign. The site will be accessed via Range Road 253 and the internal feedlot roads. AT has issued a roadside development permit as the proposed facility is adjacent to a provincial highway. A condition has been added that the applicant enter into a road use agreement to protect county roads. A condition has also been added that the applicant must abide by the letter of intent, which indicates that the adjacent feedlot will be the only source of manure feedstock to be dried at the facility. Feedstock storage. A sprung structure, which we can see a diagram of on page 89, will be constructed on an existing concrete pad to house the feedstock prior to entering the production process. Concrete pad will include liquid containment to ensure no liquids leach off the concrete pad into the soil. Manure storage will be included in the review process conducted by AEP. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive documentation confirming AEP has approved the facility. A condition has also been added that no feedstock be stored outside of the dedicated sprung structure. The production process. The process of turning manure into fertilizer includes filtering, blending, drying, and granulating. Details about the production process are provided in the letter of intent on page 91. Once the process is complete, the product will be bagged for transport. No long-term storage is planned at this site. An air quality assessment, odor management plan, and finished product storage are included in the AEP review process, as well as the monitoring of emission sources at the facility. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive a baseline air quality assessment for the facility area to determine any negative impacts. A condition has been added that no product awaiting transport off-site will be stored outside unless it is on a transport truck. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive documentation confirming AEP has approved the air quality assessment and finished product storage. Water. Water license was approved on September 22nd to divert 2,124 cubic meters of groundwater annually from an on-site well. The license was appealed and is proceeding to a hearing to reach a resolution. AEP reporting requirements include cubic meters monthly, water level in the production well weekly, and the rate of diversion in the production well on a daily basis when water is being diverted. Comparison water usage statistics were provided by Wheatland County Environmental Coordinator as indicated in the circulation comments. Further details about the production process again are on page 91 in the letter of intent. The AEP approved water license will include water usage requirements and monitoring. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive documentation confirming AEP has approved the water license. Odor. Due to the numerous odor concerns, staff consulted with the county's engineering consultant, McElhenney Engineering, who has recent experience from several previous odor projects, including a sewage plant in Seashelt. The applicant submitted information to McElhenney regarding the equipment they proposed to install to address odor concerns. McElhenney provided comments regarding the operations and the odor mitigating equipment being proposed by the applicant. The processing portion of the plant is well developed, but the odor portion is still in design and not yet fully committed, and that there is an indication that McElhenney's concerns with the conceptual odor approach will be addressed with the ongoing odor design. Further, McElhenney stated that the applicant does appear to have containment of the most objectionable odors with a ventilation system that will pull fresh air into the process area. The concept is if fresh air is drawn in at all times, odors cannot escape. And further details about that are in the body of the report. Odor processing details. The recovered foul air then has dust removed as well as moisture before entering a chemical scrubber. And the principle behind this is to introduce chemicals that neutralize the odors from substances like hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. If hydrogen sulfide is reduced, it produces an excellent indication that the other odorous elements are equally controlled by the scrubber. The odor-reducing reactions are well established and the units are designed to provide various stages of reaction to yield limited odor. The principle of the chemical scrubber process is well proven in similar applications. McElhenney further stated that having a technical solution does not completely mitigate the risk, as a system must be properly operated. Monitoring systems are required to confirm that the plant is functioning. The applicant has confirmed they will have a monitoring system in place to verify the hydrogen sulfide levels 24/7. AEP will be reviewing the development of their selected technology and have a team of professionals involved in the review process. It was further stated that collaboration with AEP is important, as the reality is that most complaints of odor will be received by the county. This measuring device provides the backbone of validating if objectionable odors are escaping. The applicant has indicated that they have operating procedures and will be responsive. It is recommended that the county remain an integral part of the development of reporting and preventative maintenance procedures, and the recommendation is to allow the applicant to continue with their application through AEP and AEP's technical team to direct the review. Also, that a request should be made to remain on the distribution list for updates and correspondence and react primarily to the following. There is other items of recommendation in here in the body of the report. I haven't read them all, but. So, to react to the following, confirm sufficient installation references for the selected chemical scrubber. Confirm application includes monitoring system complete with data historian. Collaborate on development of standard operating procedures. And collaborate on monthly reports that will confirm operations are well managed. And that, excuse me, and that the preferred path forward will include wheatland as a signatory to the process to ensure the plant meets a standard proven in other areas. Further details about the production process are provided in the letter of intent. The AEP approval process will include a team assigned to review the proposed odor control technology and odor management plan. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive a baseline odor assessment for the facility area to determine any intensification issues. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive documentation confirming AEP has approved the odor control technology and management plan. Waste streams. Waste streams produced include waste oil from maintenance, wastewater from water treatment, and domestic use. Further details about the production process are provided in the letter of intent. The AEP approval process will include a review of the storage of manure and other waste streams. A condition has been added that the development permit will not be issued until we receive documentation confirming AEP has approved the facility. Some clarification on the AEP approval status. The previous manure processing facility held an approval with Alberta Environment and Parks. The manure processing equipment was later removed from the facility, so the subsequent extensions to the approval were for power gen only. A new approval will be required by AEP to add the fertilizer production to the power generation. Noise from fans, dryers associated with the fertilizer production. Fertilizer processing are expected to be at 90 dBA at a distance of 10 feet and well below significant levels at the property line. Emergency response plan was submitted and reviewed by Wheatland County Deputy Regional Fire Chief and found to be satisfactory with potential amendments required once the facility is operational. A condition has been added that a fire inspection must be completed and that the applicant comply with and amend the emergency response plan if required by Wheatland County. Policy evaluation. Alberta Environment and Parks will need to issue the approval for the facility. They will also need to approve the water license according to the Water Act. Alberta Transportation has approved the roadside development permit. The NRCB may require a license through the Agricultural Operations and Practices Act. Alberta Utilities Commission, power plants generating less than 5 megawatts from renewable or alternative fuel sources intended to meet all or a portion of the generator's consumption is microgeneration and does not require AUC approval. Municipal Development Plan. The proposal meets policies related to encouragement of value-added agricultural operations, support of agro-industrial activities, and compliance with the Water Act. MDP also states that development applications must demonstrate that they will cause no significant adverse impacts on the natural environment, including but not limited to ground and surface water, soil quality, air quality, wildlife, and vegetation. If impacts are expected, the application must demonstrate how these will be mitigated. The county shall consider the broader area context and the impact upon it when considering a commercial or industrial development application for approval. The land use bylaw, excuse me. The land use bylaw. Agricultural processing major is a discretionary use in the agricultural general district. The proposal meets the definition for ag processing major, which is a large-scale business operation that includes the use of land and/or a building for the upgrading of a product for distribution or sale that was originally produced in an agricultural operation, which is what the feedlot is, an agricultural operation. Due to the large-scale nature of the business, the agricultural products may be produced on-site or off-site. An agricultural processing major operation may produce some off-site impacts such as noise, appearance, or odor. Cannabis production facility and cannabis cultivation are excluded. Development permit not required section tells us that a wind energy conversion system that has an output that is less than 5,000 kilowatts or 5 megawatts does not require a development permit. A recommendation has been provided by staff with consideration of the following. Non-issuance of the development permit until all conditions have been met, including a baseline air quality and odor assessments. And these conditions and recommendation is found on page 77 of the agenda package. The Alberta Environment Approval and licenses with county involvement prior to DP issuance, the recommended conditions which require adherence to the application and letter of intent, approval of a time-limited development permit. Therefore, staff are recommending approval of the agricultural processing major for a 1-year term following DP issuance. So that means once the DP is issued, once all the conditions have been met and the DP is issued, it is a 1-year term. MPC has the standard 3 response options, which are found on page 83. And that concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have questions.
Thank you, Suzanne. Question to yourself. It shows we've got 37 letters that are in the package for support, 37 in opposition, 6 for support. I believe there's 2 more that came across, and as much as I hate to make you do this, I'd prefer to have those 2 letters read into. I would like to have those letters read into record. I apologize. Take a break if you need one before you start, but now I'm to commission. I believe I'll just ask for affirmation. Everybody read the letters that are in the package?
Yes.
Amber?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Thank you.
And even the ones that were sent yesterday, I read.
Okay. We're just going to take a quick break. We've got to get the letters that need to be read into the record. Okay, we've got the letters ready to go, so I get Matt Pascario is going to read them into the record. And it's yours.
Thank you, Chair Eichert. So there's 2 additional letters that we received, and I'll read them into the record. The first, to Wheatland County Council. I am a Wheatland County landowner that is strongly opposed to the reopening of Earth Renew fertilizer facility. I am thankful to the local group for informing me of this application, as my property lies just beyond your required notification area. But I can assure you that my family was affected daily when the facility was operating in the past. Necessary outside farm jobs were unpleasant, to say the least, as the odor is worse than any manure I have ever dealt with. It also affected recreation time on our property, as the odor was so putrid. Many times we were forced inside, and there were times the odor was so strong it crept into our homes. I'm not opposed to local business in our county, but I have strong concerns when said business affects so many local residents negatively. After reading and listening to the local group, concerned residents experiencing the same as I do, this letter is to show support and appeal to the elected council that every consideration will be given to not follow through with the application of the Earth Renew facility. Strong concerns that even if the Earth Renew owners upgrade to the minimum needed filtration system as outlined in their plan, the surrounding area would experience the same odors. Similar promises were made when the facility was operating in the past, and those who are close to the facility are very aware that this was not the case. I believe that there are significant voices of local residents that council needs to take another serious look at the application. Your constituents do not want to see the Earth Renew facility application passed/approved. Please respect the voices of your constituents, neighbors, and acquaintances, as we trusted you would hear us and do the right thing for people. Regards, Jim. Second letter. Attention Susan Hayes and sitting members of Wheatland Council. I am writing this letter as both a full-time resident of Ardenode and as a co-owner of a local agribusiness, Red Fox Fungi, operated close to the proposed development area. Both myself and my business partner, Janine are fully opposed to the application for DP 2021-001. I've been a resident of Ardenode since 2014. I love everything about the area and the property. The natural beauty of the valley and being located directly next to the Serviceberry Creek. I own 2 pieces of land in this area, which total 59 acres and are located only 1,500 meters to the proposed development. The decision to live in rural comes with big responsibility to protect the environment and being good stewards of the land. This is not something I have taken lightly and have been working to revitalize the property since I purchased in 2014. 2018, when my business partner and I decided to start our agribusiness, a lot of time planning and projecting the viability of future growth of our business in the county area and on my land. When we started operations, we made it paramount that only best environmental practices would be followed on our farm. Gone are the days of deniability and ignorance. Due diligence is expected of property owners where environmental protection is concerned. As you would expect from a business startup, we have many years of projected projects planned for the growth of the business. The proposed fertilizer production facility will effectively halt the ability to develop any of our current and future plans, as well as any ability for our business to capitalize on expansion into the growing of medicinal mushrooms once impending medical applications present themselves. Growth in the food sector is exponential, and the demand for locally produced food increases yearly. Consumers who choose to buy local know the value of their buying power. They demand that their food be grown in the most environmentally friendly methods available. Red Fox Fungi has been involved with certified naturally grown and organic methods since 2018 and are well on our way to getting fully certified. This is, however, not only dependent on our practices, but on our neighbors as well. The proposed fertilizer production facility has the potential to stop us from attaining organic certification due to the risks of containment from air pollution and risks to the groundwater due to the facility. Not achieving organic certification is not an option for Red Fox Fungi, as we are already producers supplying dozens of natural food stores and organic grocery stores in Calgary, Canmore, Banff, Okotoks, Alberta. Red Fox Fungi prides itself on community development as well as environmental stewardship. We buy local, hire local, and fundraise for local charities wherever we can. This includes joining the new WC Mercantile, Infinite WC, participating in Alberta Open Farm Days 2020, with a new incubator collaboration being announced for 2021, Alberta on the Plate, and working on upcoming collaborations with other local farms, restaurants, and breweries. Some of these collaborations include farm-to-table dinners, fundraising farmers markets, farm tours and tastings, and private events and weddings. We were very excited to be joining the new WC Mercantile, as its purpose and function exactly lines up with the philosophy and goals of our farm and others in the county whom we plan to collaborate with for the events. A quote from the WC Mercantile is provided. The ultimate goal of the WC Mercantile are to network and showcase the ag value chain within Wheatland County. Working together with stakeholders in the value chain, we can better communicate with the industry in the region to promote efficiencies, export readiness through the collective chain, and market more efficiently as a sector group to targeted markets. The proposed fertilizer production facility will effectively halt the ability to develop any of our current and future collaborations for community development. Our reason for opposition: improper location, unproven applicant, lack of regulation/oversight, no odor mitigation measures prior to operation, and already a long history of generating unbearable odor, ground contamination risk, use of water for industrial purposes. 1. Improper location. The geographic location of the site is less than 1,500 meters to Ardenode. This area has dozens of country residential homes, farms, ranches, acreages, and businesses. They deserve and demand the consideration and protections detailed in Wheatland County policies and plans as followed. 1.1, Wheatland RGMS, Regional Growth Management Strategy, Municipal Development Plan, and Integrated Community Sustainability Plans. 1, development should consider compatibility with surrounding existing and future land use and development. 2, enhance the land through development, not encumbering or hindering or causing costs due to others. 3, the county shall require that commercial and industrial development applications demonstrate that they will cause no significant adverse impacts on the natural environment, including but not limited to ground and surface water, soil quality, air quality, wildlife, and vegetation. If impacts are expected, the application must demonstrate how they will be mitigated. 4, new commercial and industrial development is directed to designated planning areas. 5, accommodate growth and development while minimizing its impact, especially the impact of country residential or industrial development on agricultural land, the natural environment, water resources, existing communities, and quality of life. 6, key consideration number 1, quality of life. 7, encourage residents to interact, live, and retire in the community. 8, create safe and ecologically sound neighborhoods to work, live, and play. As outlined above, even if Earth Renew's primary purpose is to operate a fertilizer production facility, the operation of such an intensive industrial process, including noxious odors produced from the high temperature baking of manure within a 1,500 meter of not only our hamlet residential community, but our agribusiness, should be the reason enough to deny the application. It is imperative that Council look at all of the evidence and long-term ramifications that approving Earth Renew's application carries, and make an informed decision on this basis. It was highly disturbing to discover that Earth Renew is already in operations at the proposed location without any regard to the public process. Further evidence of Earth Renew's questionable financial practices, deplorable accountability, and past negative impact on neighboring communities has been submitted to the county for review, and our hope is that this will solidify your decision to deny their application. Number 2, unproven applicant. The purpose of Earth Renew's business operation is very clear. They are an intensive industrial processor aimed at generating revenue from electrical production. They are slipping under the regulatory measures put in place for an industrial processing plant by renting from an already zoned agricultural land producer. Environmental stewardship, health and safety, and fostering community trust are not in the foreground of their business model. Looking deeper into Earth Renew's past, it is now extremely evident that the residents of the area and Wheatland County as a whole cannot afford to have an operator like this operating here. Documentation on the long and checkered past of the company has already been made available to Wheatland County Council. As of today's date, the applicant continues to operate with perceived impunity and flagrant disregard for due process. They made public statements today, on April 1st, 2021, that they are operating without permits and approval, both county and provincial, and without having any of the required mitigation equipment in place. These statements are posted on their website. This does solidify the fact, hopefully, for council, that the applicant is intending on disguising themselves as an agricultural processor to hide their actual industrial purposes and avoiding having to not only pay business tax to the county, but their responsibility for neighboring community health and safety by operating on rented land. Sources are listed, and they list the sources. So there's 2 sources. The Strathmore plant generated an estimated $342,727 in settlement revenue from electricity sales so far in 2021, with a 77% gross margin. Those 2 sources are the Earth Renew site under news releases. The second source is a Toronto, March 31st, 2021, Earth Renew Inc. Listed stock, Earth Renew or the company, and it's listed there. It is imperative that council look at all of the evidence and long-term ramifications that approving Earth Renew's application carries and make an informed decision on this basis. It was highly disturbing to discover that Earth Renew is already in operations at the proposed location without any regard for the public process. Further evidence on Earth Renew's questionable financial practices, deplorable accountability, and past negative impact on neighboring communities has been submitted to the county for review, and our hope is that this will solidify your decision to deny the application. Number 3, lack of regulation and oversight. The applicant is attempting to skirt Wheatland County rules and regulations by knowingly operating a business such as this within the area it is not zoned appropriately. The zoning for this area is 9.1, Agricultural General District. In the Land Use Bylaw 2016-01 on the Wheatland County website, it clearly shows this type of operation is not permitted. In fact, it does not even fall under discretionary. The operation only falls under Section 9.6, Intensive Industrial District. Under this section, the operation would still only fall under the heading of discretionary. This point alone should void this application. Even if this application were not to be entertained under the zoning allocation, it would need to meet the basic requirements as set out in Wheatland County's LUB, Land Use Bylaw. There has not been a risk assessment performed that has not been made public that we know of. All environmental risks have not been identified for this type of industrial intensive operation. Permitting this use without all required assessments completed would be negligent. Storage areas. All outdoor storage areas shall be appropriately fenced or screened and should be concealed from view from the street by the fence or other suitable screening. All sites abutting residential districts shall be screened from view of the residential district to the satisfaction of the Development Authority safety requirements. G. Safety and risk assessment is an integral component of the industrial development permit process. Where there are potential effects or risks associated with the proposed development, the Development Authority may require an applicant to retain a qualified professional acceptable to the Development Authority to provide a concept plan inclusive of a risk assessment report of the proposed development. And the Development Authority may request an emergency response plan as a condition of development permit to ensure that emergency services requirements for fire, rescue, ambulance are met. Number 4, lack of odor mitigation. There is no clear order for this development to have all odor mitigation measures installed or tested and operating prior to the commissioning of operations. As was highlighted in number 2, unproven applicant, the operations have already commenced at this proposed facility and now completely undermine the ability of the county to attain accurate tests of the odor already present from the cattle operations run by Cattleland Feed Yards Limited. This will allow for Earth Renew to again sidestep any need to adhere to the elimination of odor or noxious gases expectation based on key consideration number 1, quality of life, or based on the county shall require that commercial and industrial development applications demonstrate that they will cause no significant adverse impacts on the natural environment, including but not limited to ground and surface water, soil quality, air quality, wildlife, and vegetation. If impacts are expected, the application must demonstrate how these will be mitigated. This is laid out in the Wheatland County RGMS, Regional Growth Management Strategy, the Municipal Development Plan, and Integrated Community Sustainability Plan. Risk of groundwater contamination, number 5. what measures and plans have been put in place to eliminate the possibility of groundwater and surface runoff contamination. The company had sent an email dated March 16th, and in there stated they would work with Cataland, their partner, to find a manure solution that eliminates any possibility of nutrients leaching into the water table. Has the application or the applicant provided such a plan to the county prior to this development? As of today's date, the owner of Earth Renew has stated that they are already in production and have been so far for the past 2 months. What has been happening to the runoff from the spring melt? Has there already been contamination? Who will be responsible for cleanup costs and compensation to the neighbors? Number 6, use of groundwater for industrial purposes. The applicant has made it 100% clear on the phone with me that they will not be at fault whatsoever should there be any detrimental impact to drinking water in the area. They were told this was the major concern of mine with development of their business. They said they would be using the drinking water for industrial purposes, i.e., liquefying the manure, cooling the generators. When asked why they would not draw from water outside of the Serviceberry Creek via the irrigation line that is already on site, they would not give a direct answer but hinted that there was no regulation at drawing groundwater. As a group that is coming into the area to set up a business, would it not be poignant to exhaust all avenues to lower your impact on the land and neighbors? In closing, I would like to stress both my personal objection to the proposed fertilizer production facility, but also to the strong objection of the neighboring food agribusiness, Red Fox Fungi. Again, it was highly disturbing to discover that Earth Renew is already in operations at the proposed location without any regard for the public process. We implore Wheatland Council, do not allow a big corporation to mock this county's rules and its residents' intelligence. We are quite capable of reading between the lines of their application, and they are not welcome in our neighborhood. It is imperative that Council look at all of the evidence and long-term ramifications that approving Earth Renew's application carries and make it an informed decision on this basis. It was highly disturbing to discover that Earth Renew is already in operations at the proposed location without any regard for the public process. Further evidence of Earth Renew's questionable financial practices, deplorable accountability, and past negative impact on neighboring communities has been submitted to the county for review, and our hope is that this will solidify our decision to deny their application. Red Fox Fungi is an up-and-coming agri-food business with a strong public following and plans for huge growth, contribution to community, and ethical environmental focus. The proposed possibility of big corporation moving next door, skirting public process and regulations, destroying our air quality and water reliability, and potentially destroying our future business is terrifying. We have proven ourselves as a savvy small business owners, and have already invested a significant amount of extra money and effort into maintaining our viability during the current global COVID-19 pandemic. We respectfully request that Council read between the lines of this application, stand up for small business and our potential for growth and success in the county. If Earth Renew is allowed to proceed, they will destroy our business and future, and our business future, and the community we love for pure profit. And that concludes the letters.
Thank you very much, Matt. As I believe that it is imperative that all concerns should be heard, I'd like to make the following motion, that the Municipal Planning Commission hear verbal communications of those that have not submitted comments for the record pertaining to Development Permit 2021-001, requiring each speaker to state their names for the record, and you have up to 2 minutes in length to communicate your views. So is there anybody on the phone line that has not submitted a written?
You have a motion on the floor that.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I got a motion on the floor. I apologize. Is there any opposition to my motion?
Not opposition, just discussion, as that should come first.
Yes.
The only thing I'm concerned of, we've had this discussion our first year on council and our first year on MPC on how to mitigate setting precedents at this meeting, at this commission, and how over the last 3 years since that discussion, we haven't allowed people with concerns.
That's right.
People with concerns to speak at the meetings.
Excuse me, Ken, if you're on the phone line, can you make sure your phone is muted? Thank you. Go ahead.
So that is the only concern I have. I mean, I'm just worried I understand this is a huge issue in that division, and I too would like to hear everybody's concerns, but there was a timeline. You had to get your concerns in before a certain point, and I just think by going against the precedent that this commission has set in the last 3 years can open the door to meetings going forward that are harder to control and bring in lengthy conversations that could be had over a letter correspondence sent to this commission. For that reason, to be quite honest, I don't think I could support your motion, just because.
Thank you, Member Wilson. Member Clausen, you had a...
I appreciate that, and I understand where you're coming from, and being that I used to chair these meetings, I understand that very, very well. But the whole level of communication has changed in the last year. So there's a lot of people that would be on the line. I'm sure this room would be full of people if it was allowed, like we've seen prior. And
again, even if this room was full,
I understand.
We wouldn't have allowed those members of the public to speak.
I understand, but also there is two sides of this story, and that we've heard, and I'll make this in an interest of fairness, we've heard opposition, and we've had a lot of opposition. We haven't heard a summary of the support, which we need to hear as well, and we need to hear if anybody is on the line that will support it as well. And for
That's
opposition,
a public hearing process. This isn't a public hearing.
But I'll support the motion.
Clarification.
Turn your mic on.
Susan, or subdivision applications, we don't allow the public to speak, but development permits, the public, if they're here in chambers, are allowed to speak to a development permit.
So just through the chair to the Municipal Planning Commission, it's at the will of the commission to pass a motion to listen to concerns or submissions, and that's completely at the discretion of the commission. It is not a public hearing process where public hearing, you hear it, you can debate, you can go back and forth in that sense. This is completely different what's being put forward in that.
Debate, it's just a presentation.
That's correct. It's not even presentation, it's at the discretion of the commission to hear submissions such as the one I just read, letters that haven't got in. It's completely at their discretion to do so.
So if we vote in favor of Tom's motion, they'll be able to make their speak to the, but there's no debate.
The motion was clarified, though, only people that haven't had any submission already. So,
but there's no debate on there. They speak their mind just like the letter.
Right.
And that's it.
That's correct.
No questions asked or anything like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more discussion? If there's no discussion, I will bring the vote. Any opposition?
Yes.
I will, there is opposition, so I will, Member Eichert is in favor. Member Armstrong.
In favor.
Member Bigger.
Mic's off.
In favor.
Member Clausen.
In favor.
Member Kester.
In favor.
And Member Link.
In favor.
That motion is passed, so,
We don't get to vote.
oh, Member Wilson, sorry, I apologize. I knew your vote. I had them tallied already. You were not going to win that one.
Before we go that direction, though, I just wanted to, because there was some stuff that was read off here in clarification for people on the line and for us as well. My understanding of this site is there is electrical generation now. It's already been allowed. They've been allowed to do that. It's two parts to this. The electrical generation is burning natural gas through a turbine to make energy. This part that we're talking about is basically has to do with the waste heat from that turbine. Am I spoken right?
Yes, so under our land use bylaw, you are allowed to have generation through a turbine of less than 5 megawatts and also through the AUC without requiring permits from either. So, so far it was my understanding that they are doing that. If they were approved for the fertilizer production, the waste heat from that turbine would go towards that process. Right now, I think they're selling it all back to the grid.
Yeah, I just wanted to differentiate for everybody because it's kind of complicated, but they are allowed to do that, and they have done that. So
that is correct.
Because it's below a certain amount.
It's a different board. Yeah, that's right. They're using natural gas to run the turbine that creates the power. It's the waste product from that turbine is where this all kicks in.
Okay.
And then just a point, the September 11th, 2019 meeting that they mentioned here in Nightingale Hall, from what I was told, that was invitation only, so it wasn't open for all the public. I've been told that by several of my constituents, so just wanted to clarify that too. I'm good for now.
Thank you, Member Clausen. So I guess going forward, is there anybody on the line that has not submitted a written application that would like to state their case in 2 minutes? That are in favor of this application.
I think am I able to speak at this point? It's Carrie from Earth Renew.
Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Sorry, is that yes or no?
Yeah, sorry, yes. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for your efforts to bring us to where we are today and for your willingness to consider our proposal in your county. We appreciate that the prospect of starting up this facility flares up several concerns related to the prior company's operation, specifically around the topic of odor. As stated in all our communications with county and with stakeholders and regulators, we are coming to you as a new team, one with a genuine interest in the conversation around rebuilding soil health and supporting the interconnected ecosystems so that for generations to come, Canadian farms don't have to make a trade-off between profitability and environmental sustainability. We know that the prior company did not care about odor control on the plant and that the smell wafted many kilometers away and affected many people's quality of life. That was irresponsible and frankly unnecessary. The technology to reduce odor from processing waste streams exists and is well understood. We do not have to innovate in this area, rather only apply what is already known to work and to meet any air quality standards put in place. We will do that. But the good news is you don't have to take my word for it because your county and individuals at Alberta Environment and Parks will hold us to a set of standards that ensure your quality of life is protected. Similarly, there is a concern around water usage that we will take more than our share and pollute the area around our operation. As a company working to improve environmental sustainability in agriculture, I can tell you we will not take more than our share or pollute groundwater. We are asking for 2 households worth of water, and monitoring conditions associated with that use are significantly greater than on any household. It is said that trust is built in small moments, one pebble at a time. And as much as we look forward to the county's decision today, we look forward to the opportunity to earn your trust by doing what we say we will do as we work to become a company that county residents can look to as a modern environmental success story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on the line in agreement that hasn't submitted an application? Is there anybody on the line that has not submitted an application? Could somebody please turn down their phone, please? Mute their phone. Is in opposition.
Tom?
Yes. Hello? Hello?
Tom?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
It's Karen Gregory speaking from Catalan Feed Yard.
Yes, Karen.
We did submit a letter of support with a condition.
Excuse me, can you please mute your phone? We will, one person at a time will talk, and that will be all that is allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, if you've submitted a letter, we will not be hearing any more information from you at the time. Sorry?
Okay, no, that's fine.
Just hang on a second, Karen. Yes, administration. Yes, Suzanne.
Hello, Ms. Gregory. I do not see your letter in the ones that were included in the package. My apologies if somehow it was missed, but I don't have your letter in the package. It hasn't been seen by MPC.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I did submit a letter of support, yeah.
I can clarify, there was a letter sent to me, but it was more of an opinion. It wasn't like a statement, but I can give you the date and send it to you guys if you want.
Well, can I just, I mitigate this, if I just let Karen speak for 2 minutes?
I'm okay to hear her speak.
We're good with that? Yep. Karen, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I apologize if my email did not get received. We did submit a letter of support for the project on the basis as well with everyone else's concern regarding the smell. But in our investigation and what Earth Renew's proposed, their technology looks like it can take care of all of those issues. And we do feel that the traffic and more work in the area, the traffic would be reduced on the roads. As you know, we get quite a few complaints on dust, so that would be mitigated. And a few more jobs in the area would be very positive. Thank you for listening to me.
Price like JPF Mechanical.
Yeah, thank you very much, Karen. We do not need those ancillary. Is there any way we can eliminate that phone line? Do we know where that came from? We will keep everything.
I would just ask the chair if there is another comment made out of turn that we completely.
I 100% will cut off all phone lines. All phone lines. Thank you. So is there?
Yeah, I told you.
Member Link requests to speak.
Yes, go ahead, Member Link.
If I could just ask, perhaps, rather than cutting off the phone lines, obviously we do need to be fair and just, like in who we're hearing from. So perhaps if somebody further wants to speak, just to mitigate the issues, we could have them communicate with administration which phone line they're calling in from. We could keep everything muted, and then I'm not sure if we have the ability to unmute speaker to address the MPC. I want to ensure that we're balanced and that we're hearing from people, but I understand the concern with comments being made inappropriately, and if necessary, we are able to remove individuals who are disturbing the meeting as well, if that's necessary.
Matt from administration, just through the chair to Member Link. Yeah, we are doing that for sure. Thank you.
Through the chair, a comment for clarification.
Yes, Councillor Armstrong, or Member Armstrong.
If, as it says in the application, if they proceed and get all the environmental applications, how long would it be before they would be able to operate?
So with all the conditions that we've proposed, they cannot operate until the development permit's been issued, and we are not going to issue it till all the conditions have been met, and that could take a year.
Thank you.
Have we heard from everybody who wants to speak in agreement that has not submitted an application?
Ask.
Administration, have we heard from everybody?
Ask the phone line.
Okay, sorry, everybody on phone line, and anybody in agreement that wants to speak that has not submitted an application or a letter. Okay, then I'll go on to, is there anybody on the phone lines that are in opposition that have not submitted a letter that want to speak at this time? Hearing none. Hearing none, we'll proceed. Thank you. Okay, now I'll open this good discussion up to the commission. Go ahead, Commissioner Armstrong.
Through the chair, in their application, they're talking about delivery to that site from the feedlot of 280 tons a day, but I didn't see anywhere in there, unless I missed it, how much they would produce in a day, how much they would put through the plant in a day. Do you know? I don't know if it's relevant or not, because they just stopped hauling it in because it's from their own plant. I was just curious if they were doing the 280 ton a day, or if there was.
It just says finished fertilizer will leave the site in covered or enclosed transport units amounting to 6 to 8 trucks per day at peak capacity. And maybe there's more in the letter of intent. I would have to check in on that.
It may not be relevant, but I'm just curious. Because it is coming from their own site. They're not bringing in anything from off-site, so it's only their own site. So if they get too much on site, they can just stop. Okay, no, that's all right. Don't worry about it then.
I know that it did say that their in-feed material is all going to be stored in the sprung structure, and they are planning to just bring it in as needed.
Through the chair, Suzanne, I didn't see where in the conditions it said that they could not bring stock in from any other source.
The conditions state that they have to comply with their letter of intent.
Oh, okay.
And their letter of intent says the only manure feedstock that they'll be drawing will be coming from that feedlot.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll just clarify on that question. Is there any supplements added? Is something else from off-site? And what
Yes,
is that?
they do plan to have supplements from off-site. So it says an estimated 96 tote bags of cubic yard each of organic inputs will be delivered weekly from the suppliers, resulting in 4 trucks a week on county roads.
Okay, organic inputs to me is a wide variety of things. We've seen that on other sites, so that is definitely of a concern to me.
They did list the organic inputs in their letter of intent, so I'll have to look and see what it was. I recall insect frass, which apparently is the insect carcasses, and I'll have to look what the rest of them were.
Yeah, just a question to administration. I'm curious. I don't want to really focus on this one for a minute. Just if JBS or Cargill set up shop here, would they be sitting on an agriculturally zoned parcel of land or a canola crushing facility, something that's rendering the state of a product to market it to a new consumer?
I would have to know the application details to be sure, but can you tell me again your examples?
Like a canola crushing facility, like a major meat facility. Like, my question is really, at what point does, sorry, I have the land use here pulled up. At what point does the agriculture processing major become a industrial heavy or light or medium?
That would be dependent on what was put in the agricultural general zone. So in the agricultural general zone, say if it was a Cargill meat plant, we do have abattoir in an agricultural general. Somebody could apply for that. We also have egg processing major. I believe one of the colonies has a canola processing facility on their site. So we do allow some that are a bit of a crossover in the ag zone. So they are in there.
Thank you.
Yes. Member Clausen, go ahead, please.
Thank you. First, and I should have said this before, I thank you, the staff, for going through all this. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here that is a lot of questions have been answered. And I appreciate the effort that has gone into this. I just want to also say that through all this whole process, and this is really important to me to say this, is that the feedlot itself is not an issue. I've not heard that from one of my constituents. I don't think we've seen it in any of the letters. Considering that industry is a hot button issue in a lot of counties, and I'm really proud of people for working with their neighbors in the area. It is a very highly residential area, acreage area, and it's evolving that we can see, and it's one of the highest growth areas. So that I just really wanted to point that out, that these people are not upset with the feedlot. What they're upset with is something that was on site before, it was tried, it had a problem that went on for a number of years, and it was far-reaching. I mean, I've heard from people up in Rosebud that the plume would go that way. I've talked to people that have worked on site. I've talked to all sorts of my residents around, and that is their fear, and it's valid. They don't want their way of life changed because of that. So I want people to think that in their mind. They're not upset at the feedlot. That's really important.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Suzanne, on page 88, you got a picture there, an old picture, be it. There's an X there, and the one bin has been removed. And then it says an arrow to the other bin, and it says to be removed, right?
Correct.
Okay, then go to the next page. And that same bin is on there, number 11, and it says it's product storage for demo. Is that a demo for the product storage to demonstrate it, or is it product storage for demolition?
I did check with the applicant about the two bins, and they said yes, they are both going to be removed. So I suspect that means for demolition.
Okay. And then it says there, number 2, new manure storage building. I'm thinking that's the new Sprung building.
Correct.
Okay, when I look at that picture, the old bin there is cement. I don't see any other cement on there. Yet on page, 74, it says the new building is, let me see here, I'll just pull 74 up, page. And it says it's a 65 by 100 foot sprung structure constructed on an existing concrete pad.
Correct.
And the concrete pad will include liquid containment. All I see is an existing, the old floor of an abandoned demolition bin. The whole thing is not cemented. It's certainly not, unless it's been cemented. That's my question.
Okay, I can't
speak
to the inconsistency with what they did say. They did say it was an existing concrete pad. I do know that Alberta Environment is going to be looking at their manure storage building, and the applicant did tell me it will be a concrete pad with some sort of mechanism for containing the drainage, and that possibly it would be hauled away. They haven't solidified how that will work yet, so I can't speak to that inconsistency, Glenn. Councillor Kester.
Okay. Yeah, just make sure that's looked after if it does pass. I'd like to see the whole thing cemented and cement berms and whatnot. And also to speak to the past on this facility, it looks like it's the same technology, it's the same process. The only thing different is maybe scrubbing for the odors. Past, the odors were never eliminated, and they were in to see council/MPC numerous times saying they would do this and do that, and nothing seemed to work. Nothing ever worked. So I'm thinking before I can vote for this, I have to be sure that their odor scrubbing technology actually works. And comparing it to a sewage treatment plant, no, this odor, it seemed to get into the creek bottoms, and it got, Scott said, Rosebud. I've heard it was into Drumheller, followed the river down to there. Didn't happen all the time, but yeah, you can follow it back. And I got lots of complaints, and I have complaints that were 10 miles away and they were regular. I can't really support it until I'm absolutely assured that this technology works. And I don't know how they're going to do that. But to give a permit out and then they're going to find the technology, I think no, I can't support it. It's got to be the other way around for me. I have to know that technology works. And it has to be something more substantial than a sewage treatment plant. It's got to be, because this odor is unlike any other odor around. And as Scott has said, it's not the same as Catalan, the feed yards. Everyone can appreciate that smell because they've had it, and in a lot of cases it's seasonal, maybe after rain, But this thing was more constant, and it weather conditions, the wind and whatnot. So yeah, I would. That's my concern, is odor mitigation and the appropriate technology, and I got to be assured of it.
Through the chair, I concur with where Member Kester's coming from. I remember when it came in, the extensive discussion from council to look at this as a addition to the ag industry to help the industry along, and all the comments around that was extensively discussed, and the odor was an issue. It always was an issue once it got rolling, and it didn't continue, it didn't improve, it didn't get any better, and to me it fell flat on its face. And the application that's before us are basically guaranteeing us the same thing that the first ones guaranteed us, and they never followed through on it. So it left a sour taste in my mouth for what they did, and this one kind of does the same thing. So I'm a little doubtful.
Just have a question for administration.
Yes.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, I was just going to follow up on Ben's comments, and I remember at the time when we were approving this, council was very, I'd say, appreciative of Catalan's interest in this, and the manure haul, how it would reduce the manure haul on our soft roads, and all the product would be shipped out on provincial highways, and yeah, we would reduce impact to our roads, dust, and not only the dust but also the soft roads in the spring and fall. So yeah, there was a lot of positives to this project, and there was a lot of consultation done. It's just that smell.
Thank you, Glenn. Just a question for administration on the DP would, I'm just trying to get this, so the DP will not get approved until after the AEP has approved the manure odor mitigation. That
it would have a conditional approval, but not an issuance. So we're saying, okay, you have our approval to go ahead and do all of these steps that you need to do to be in a position for us to issue the DP. We're allowing them to proceed with studies and air quality assessment and all of these things, saying we will issue the permit if you meet all these conditions.
Well, therefore, that if we are involved in the talks with AEP and we get AEP to allow our engineers to oversee what they're suggesting, that should, because I honestly don't believe that if there's no, because it's a feedlot, and the people have been good about the feedlot, I honestly believe that if there's no smell, there'll be no question. And this is what the whole, the people are not anti-development, they're just anti, and I just don't know how to, I'm torn in the fact that I want to see, this might be a really good idea, and if it works, no one's even going to know it's there. I'm just worried about what happens if it, I'm with everybody else, I don't know what happens if it doesn't work. So, go.
So Matt from administration, and good comments and questions, Chair Eichert. I think there is potentially a way that we could ensure that we are as much a part of that process as possible, should it be at the will of the Commission to proceed, as Suzanne said, with these, with the issuance. And as Suzanne has mentioned, a lot of the conditions and suggestions within the report are to ensure that there is satisfactory studies, technology, and the rest within those conditions through the approval process. So a lot of those conditions refer to AEP, so they have to go through a study, submit it to AEP, get a license or get that approval from there. Then there's a checklist. However, I think there's a way that the county could be a part of that circulation, a part of that process or conversation, that we could certainly, request upon that authority that we are part of the circulation, part of the process. As the Commission is aware, we do have third-party engineers at McElhaney that have reviewed this application, but also there is a way that, it would, if it's at the comfort of the Commission, that our engineers review whatever comes next as well. So there is a way to ensure that we could be a part of that process, be it a submission, a letter drafted and submitted to AEP to address that the county be included on their distribution list for updates and correspondence of the Earth Renew application, and that also the county could provide input into a few items, and I can list those for sure. So sufficient installation for references of the selected chemical and scrubber, confirm application includes monitoring systems complete with data historian, collaborate on the development of standard operating procedures for addressing public complaints, collaborate on monthly reports that will confirm operations are well managed, including adherence to the requirements as developed by the equipment manufacturers, and further that the county be included as a signatory to the process to ensure the proposed fertilizer plant meets the standard proven in other areas. So there is potential there, right? So there are options for Commission's consideration.
So through the chair, after saying that, if it takes a year for them to get all that in place, then this permit would only be good for a year after that time, so that if there's any issues that come up, I'm worried that Alberta Environment's going to come and say, yep, but they follow all this, they do all this, everything's fine, we go ahead and let them go. Then the same issues come up. If that happens within that first year, that's the end of it. That's when the permit starts, is after, for the 1 year operating, is after they get.
That is correct. We will not allow them to begin operating until they've met all these conditions, and then the 1 year will commence. So it's like a test run, and it would have then come up for renewal.
Commissioner Bigger?
So after that year, and after the renewal comes up, and let's say the development permit gets voted down after that year, where does it go from there?
Anybody can appeal a decision. So appeals that are next to a provincial highway automatically will go to the municipal government board for decision.
Member Clausen.
So I understand where the questions that are asked, and we're trying to work with the applicant to get things going. So my concern is a lot of this should have been done before it came here, number one, by the applicant, and put the effort in there. It's almost like we're trying to sell this product to the community, and that's not my job sitting here. My job sitting here is to judge whether or not this is going to affect people's lives and adjacent problems. And when I got 40 letters in front of me that represent at least 3 people per household, just do the numbers. I've driven the school bus in the area. I know how many kids are around there. And I understand jobs, and I understand the green words that are out there. But when I have that much opposition from something, I have no choice. I have to listen to my people. My people voted me in here to make sure, and especially my position, because everybody knows why I was here, was to deal with these kind of things. Not particularly this one, but there was another one, and it's very similar issues. So we're asking people to look at it again and be a test dummy for another year. They're going to say no. They don't want to do it. They've already been there, done that, tried that, wrote the book. We've seen the letters. So I cannot support anything. And I understand where the appeal process goes, and I understand that we can be overridden, and I understand all that. And my people understand that. And I've talked to them at length and said, look at this, the appeal process can take this to a level that takes us out of this.
My problem is, I agree with 100% what you said there, Scott. My problem is we are stuck with, this is the way the system works. And if we just bury our head and say, no, we're not going to allow this, this goes to appeal, this goes to the Alberta government, the Alberta government's going to hear that this company will create 3 or 4 jobs for employment. They're going to say yes. There's just no other way around it. I believe that if we put in enough, we have to, we work with the rules that we have in the system. We stay as like I said, it boils down to whether, if the new technology works. This is going to be new technology. It's going to be an enclosed system. If the new technology works and there's no smell, no one will care. A year from now, 2 years from now, everybody will just say, "Oh, what's that building over there? Oh, it's creating some jobs and some revenue for the county." I think my opinion is that we try to grab as much control of this situation as we can, put as many conditions on it, what Matt has said, what administration has brought forward about third party, getting our engineers to review whether or not the technology and submit that to the AEP. I think it's the way to go.
Through the chair, I agree with where Scott's coming from. We went through this a month ago over another project where environment stepped in and slapped us upside the head and told us it wasn't none of our business, get out of it. The appeal process is there. If we turn it down, the appeal process is there. They can go through that process. The government looks at it, they'll still make them go through the process that they have to go through, but at least we've listened to the ratepayers in the area that if you don't, then what's the use of and we have another one coming up that might be in the same position. So I agree with where Scott's coming from. If his ratepayers don't want it, then the appeal process is there to move it to the next level.
Another comment.
Go ahead, Glenn.
In past experience, odor concerns where, you can't complain about the odor is one comment, or we can't measure odor is another comment. We hire somebody to come and measure it, and it just went on and on and on. There was no way. So if this was to go forward, what would be wrong with, say, have the ratepayers of the area be the ones that decide if the odor's offensive or not, instead of having to rely on a third party that can't quantify anything? If you get 15 complaints, you shut it down? I don't know. I think some serious thought, this is going to be approved. Something has to be done about odor and what constitutes odor, not a provincial regulation, or I know how flimsy it is, but the residents of the area, they well know what odor is. And they are, without a doubt, the experts of that area. But they're just kind of taken right out of the equation. And I don't think that's right. They have dust concerns, they can complain, we can put dust control down. We don't have to hire an expert about dust control. And odor, I think, is the same way. There's odor there, and if it can't be mitigated, then you got to quit it.
Through the chair. So part of the recommendations from McElhaney when they reviewed it was that a complaint procedure, a responsive procedure be put in place, that we consult with Alberta Environment and we be involved in that process, so that also there'd be an odor baseline. And I guess the odor baseline and identifying exactly where the smells are coming from, I don't know if it needs to be more of a scientific process than people's opinions, but we would definitely get input from a technical review about that. So potentially, I mean, as an added condition, we could add a condition that prior to issuance of the development permit, final plans for the facility to be reviewed and approved by a qualified professionals to the reasonable satisfaction of Wheatland County. So, we would do our own review, and I know that Alberta Environment, they told me they have a team of 5 people that will be reviewing this. However, if we want to have our own input and guarantee that we have our own input, I don't know if they will accept what we recommend, but we can definitely add that as a condition.
Yes, Member Clausen.
Speaking from a little history on odor, because I dealt with it on another file, I'm pretty sure Alberta Environment won't take that as an acceptable measure. Odor is the best organ, or the best way to measure odor is by people that are trained to do it. There's about 6 in the province of Alberta right now that are trained. I've made some suggestions before to some other members about for these kind of problems, and that's probably years away. The problem is here now before us. My concern with all this stuff that we're proposing to do is who pays for it. We've already had an engineer here. I'm sure we paid for that to review a file, which I can eat that. But going forward, I know the costs that were incurred on us of another site for oversight, which was asked by the people, and they're okay with that. This is here now before us, before it even starts, and you still can't give a good answer. So my mind has not changed, and I'm prepared to put a motion forward, knowing what's going to happen. And I will ask for a recorded vote when I do that.
So I want to put a potential motion on the floor. In fact, I think I'll do 2. And I'd like MPC to direct administration to craft a letter to AEP to address the following. Number 1, that the county be included on the distribution list for updates and correspondence for the Earth Renew application. Number 2, that the county provide input on the following items. Confirm sufficient installation references for the selected chemical scrubber. Confirm application includes monitoring system complete with data historian. Collaborate on development of standard operating procedures for addressing public complaints. Collaborate on monthly reports that will confirm operations that will confirm that operations are well managed, including adherence to the requirements as developed by the equipment manufacturers. Third one is that the county be included as a signatory to the process to ensure that the proposed fertilizer plant meets a standard proven in other areas. And then we'd have a third part, and it's going to will incur costs, but we have our engineers review the the mechanical, the new odor mitigation members.
Well, a point of order for those motions, should they not come up after the decision as to whether or not this application is accepted or not?
Through the chair, in my opinion, it's a motion for consideration. I mean, it can be discussed. It would be effective, but we haven't had a decision on the actual permit moving forward, right? So this, as this reads, I'm just reading it again, sorry, just to see if it's reading in the way that this is actually happening, the applicant is moving forward in their process.
And I guess my question is, if it's approved, then those motions would come into effect, but right now it hasn't been approved. So.
Thank you for that point. So we can hold that down until you discuss the final one. Apologies on that. So we can hold that down until we discuss whether it's approved or not.
Okay. Sure.
So we can hold that down and then afterwards move forward with that proposed motion. So I would suggest holding the motion down and then proceeding as follows with the discussion.
Is there any more discussion?
I'll make the motion that MPC does not approve or accept the recommendation as proposed.
I'll right away call a recorded vote.
And ask for a recorded vote.
Just a point of order, we have to record the reasons for refusal as well.
Okay.
So the motion, though, my question is the motion's a negative motion. Is it not appropriate to have a positive motion and then vote it down or vote for it than it is to have a negative motion? And that's my question.
Absolutely. So through the chair, there's the standard 3 options. So one of the options, I believe it's option 3. I don't have the report directly in front of me, but we need to list the rationale as to why it's refused.
So you're looking for me for reasons why? I feel it's incomplete. I feel that the concerns of the residents are not going to be addressed appropriately in regards to smell, in regards to water. There is an application, or sorry, an appeal on the water license ongoing right at this time. I know one of the residents is in on that. I think it's inappropriate for us to be looking at this until that's dealt with as well. Past history of the site. I cannot support it.
Okay, well, I guess we have a recorded vote, and this is against the, so this is number 3, which is accepts, I'm just trying to figure out which way I believe that we should, so I will vote again, I will vote against I will vote against the motion to refute against the application. No, again, we have a motion on the floor that states that we are going to turn down this application. And I vote against that motion. Member Armstrong.
Favor of the motion, which is to turn it down.
Member Bigger.
In favor. Yes, in favor of the motion to turn it down.
Member Kester.
In favor.
Member Link.
In favor, and just to extrapolate on my rationale, I'm with you, Member Eichert, that obviously I want to be encouraging innovation and development in Wheatland County. My primary concerns are around the odor complaint process and the fact that within the application it was stated more than once that odors would not be able to be completely mitigated. And so while I recognize likely there would be technology to reduce that, my concern is about the odors that would not be able to be controlled and the impact on quality of life for adjacent landowners.
Thank you. Member Wilson.
I stand with Chair Eichert. I'm afraid that we'll lose control if we don't do something now. I think we'll lose potentially half of the conditions if the provincial government gets a hold of it. So I vote. I'm opposed to the motion on the floor.
That means MPC.
I haven't voted.
Oh, sorry.
Every time.
Sorry, Member Claus. I just assumed that.
I'm in favor of my own motion, and I understand where what Councillor Wilson had just said. Or sorry, Member Wilson.
Commissioner
Actually, Wilson.
Commissioner.
So, and I understand that, but I'm not afraid of an appeal, and I hate that we are, because it shouldn't be that way. We are here in these chairs to listen to our local residents. And everybody has a right to appeal, and that file will go with the appeal, and so will those people go with that appeal and follow it. And I know that they will represent themselves, and if I can, I will help them and give them my reasons, but I don't want to be afraid of an appeal. That kind of takes the point, why are we here if we're afraid of that? And we've faced that a few times, so I'm still standing in support of my motion.
I still think Commissioner Eichert's motion of a letter asking that if AAP does...
Before we talk about that, can
Okay.
the chair please call the vote on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe the Commissioner Clausen's motion has passed. We will be turning down this application, and I'm actually going to rescind my letter, just because I think it's like this is dead now, so that.
Well, I was just thinking that if the appeal board does approve it, that we have a letter saying that we actually wanted to be involved in it after an appeal.
But we just turned everything down.
No, I know.
We just said that we didn't want to be involved.
Yeah, we didn't want to be involved in it.
Okay.
So.
Can I just read out what I have for the reason for refusal to make sure I have it right? Application is incomplete and the concerns of the residents are not going to be addressed appropriately.
Yes, and there was an appeal for the water license that's going right now. Well,
I'm not sure if it's possible to have my reasons included as well. I'm sorry I didn't get them in prior to the vote, so that might not be possible.
Can you please repeat your reasons?
So my reasons were, I have a concern around the odor complaint process. It's outlined on page 103 of the package. And the fact that I recognize we have dual jurisdiction with Alberta Environment. Obviously, they would be responsible for the air quality, but we obviously have experience with dealing with the nuisance side of air quality, like odor complaints, and yet we're not integrated into that odor complaint process. And then the other side of my concern was just that throughout the application, it was indicated that the odors would not be able to be fully mitigated, that they would do everything possible and utilize technology to reduce them, but that they would not be able to be eliminated, and just that effect that that odor would have on the quality of life of the adjacent landowners.
Okay, I'm going to read this out.
Just a question. I'm sorry, I might have made... Commissioner Kester, did I call your vote? I might have had a brain fart. Did I? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for the reason for refusal, application is incomplete and the concerns of the residents are not going to be addressed appropriately. The water license is currently under appeal. Complaints regarding the odor complaint, or sorry, complaints regarding odor, concerns regarding the odor complaint process odors would not be able to be fully eliminated and the effect the odors would have on the quality of life of adjacent landowners.
Does that sound right?
I'm okay with that addition.
Everybody okay with that? So that,
captures my concern. Thank you.
perfect. So that vote passes at 5-2. Anything else? Are we done?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. We're done. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye. Have a good day.